Number 8. Haley Dandurand and Stephen Brown. In late July 2023, a woman accused of murdering a housekeeper on Oahu's North Shore testified in court, claiming that her ex-boyfriend was solely responsible for the killing. This testimony followed the second appearance of the victim's husband and daughter on the stand. The accused, Haley Dandurand, explained that she had moved to Hawaii in early 2017 to attend Kapiolani Community College. And during that year, she met Stephen Brown, her now ex-boyfriend, who, according to her, exhibited controlling behavior and became physically abusive. Dandurand also reported that Brown frequently threatened her and her family members with harm. As their relationship progressed, Dandurand stated that they found themselves homeless, which led to an incident on December 7, 2017. On that day, they broke into a vacation home in Pupukea looking for food. A noise startled them and Brown reacted aggressively with a machete. Dandurand recounted that she was in a separate room when the housekeeper, Telma Boinville, was attacked by Brown. She described witnessing Brown covered in blood and Boinville lying injured on the floor. Brown then forced Dandurand to tie up the victim while he struck her with a hammer. The testimony also revealed that Boinville's young daughter, McKenna, was outside in a truck during the incident. Brown noticed this and brought McKenna inside. Then he silenced both victims with tape. Brown was found guilty of second-degree murder, burglary in the first degree, and kidnapping in January 2023. And on August 1st of that same year, the jury also found Dandurand guilty of the brutal slaying, kidnapping, and burglary related to the 2017 killing of Boinville. The jury's unanimous verdict led the judge to revoking Dandurand's bail, ordering her to remain in custody, where she has been since her arrest. Brown and Dandurand have yet to be sentenced for the crime. During Brown's hearing, the prosecution pushed for a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and the same conversation was had for Dandurand during her hearing. But despite Dandurand's claim that Brown had coerced her into participating, the jury rejected her defense, citing her recklessness in contributing to the situation. Boinville's husband expressed gratitude to the community for their support and shared his intention to continue caring for their daughter in memory of his late wife. Unfortunately, since neither of the suspects have been sentenced yet, we'll have to wait and see how things play out in the coming months. Number 7. Joshua Ho. On January 16, 2023, a tragic incident unfolded in Hilo, where 21-year-old Joshua Ho was indicted by a grand jury for the double murder of his grandparents, Jeffrey and Carla Takamine. They were fatally stabbed in their Panawa home on Makalika Street. The distressing event occurred early in the morning when Cheryl Ho, Joshua's mother, notified Hawaii Island police about her 21-year-old son's schizophrenic episode involving a knife. Upon arrival, they found Joshua covered in blood and naked, being restrained by his father and injured brother. Joshua was taken into custody with his bail set at $2.75 million. The police's investigation revealed that Joshua had attacked his grandparents, leading to their tragic deaths. Joshua's brother, Kaulana Ho, was also injured in the struggle. Court documents outline the horrifying scene, describing the lifeless bodies of the Takamines in a cluttered room, surrounded by pooled blood. Joshua's mental condition, schizophrenia, was highlighted as a contributing factor to the incident. Schizophrenia is a serious disorder characterized by abnormal interpretations of reality, including hallucinations and delusions. It can severely impair daily functioning and requires ongoing treatment. The court ordered a mental evaluation of Joshua after the incident, and later in June 2023 deemed him unfit to stand trial based on evaluations by mental health professionals. The judge then ruled that Joshua posed a risk to himself and others, and ordered his custody to the state health director for proper care and treatment. Joshua faced multiple charges, including first-degree murder, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and second-degree attempted murder. The case shed light on the challenges posed by severe mental disorders and their impact on criminal proceedings. The tragic nature of the incident brought attention to the need for mental health support and intervention in such cases. Number 6. Eugene Barrett. Eugene Walter Barrett, born on June 30th, 1931, gained notoriety as an American serial killer responsible for the murders of 3 women he had a romantic involvement with in Honolulu, Hawaii, between 1959 and 1995. He was convicted of the final murder and died in prison in 2003. Barrett was the first confirmed serial killer and only one of 3 known active serial killers in the state, alongside the unidentified Honolulu Strangler and the Kauai serial killer. Barrett's early life details are limited, with information indicating he dropped out of school in the 9th grade, later serving in the army during the Korean War but receiving a dishonorable discharge due to alcohol-related issues. Settling in Honolulu, he entered into a relationship with Annie E. Phillips, a mother of 5. But after their breakup in 1959, Barrett's anger led him to shoot and kill Phillips. Despite claiming intoxication, he was convicted and initially sentenced to life in prison. However, his term was later reduced to 15 to 50 years, and eventually he was paroled in 1967. Following his previous incarceration, Barrett's life took a tumultuous turn marked by a short-lived marriage and subsequent divorce. In February 1971, he married Roberta Uluani Averu, but their reunion was damaged by Barrett's ongoing struggle with excessive drinking, a factor that played a pivotal role in their relationship's demise. 1 year later, in November 1972, Roberta filed for divorce, citing Barrett's uncontrollable alcohol consumption as a primary factor. The turbulent dynamics of Barrett's personal life continued to unravel, and just a month after his divorce, on December 27th, he carried out a violent crime against his ex-wife. Armed with a kitchen knife, Barrett entered the Hawaii hotel where Roberta was staying and viciously stabbed her multiple times. This violent assault led to his arrest and subsequent legal proceedings. Barrett opted to plead guilty to a reduced charge of manslaughter, likely in an attempt to secure a more lenient sentence, and as a result he was sentenced to a period of 10 years in prison for this crime. Paroled in 1976, Barrett's history of aggression and violence seemed to have a break as he lived relatively quietly through the remainder of the 1980s. However, his ongoing struggle with alcohol and emotional instability remained an issue in his life. This relative calm was shattered in August 1995 when Barrett's rage resurfaced in a deadly manner. Shortly after his release from a psychiatric treatment center, he fatally shot Donashia Roxanne Kastner, a neighbor in his apartment complex. This act of violence was rooted in Barrett's perceived mistreatment and jealousy, leading to a violent outburst that claimed Kastner's life. His trial offered a glimpse into the internal turmoil that fueled his actions, resulting in his conviction for murder. As a consequence, Barrett was handed a de facto life sentence, with a stipulation that he serves a minimum of 40 years before being eligible for parole. But Barrett never saw freedom again. In 2003, he fell ill to an undisclosed illness and passed away at the Pale Momi Medical Center in Waimalu. Number 5. The Honolulu Strangler. The Honolulu Strangler was an unidentified serial killer responsible for the deaths of 5 women in Hawaii during 1985 and 1986. This individual is recognized as the second documented serial killer operating in the state, following Eugene Barrett. The victims of these series of crimes were diverse, and their tragic stories highlight the killer's opportunistic nature. The first victim, Vicky Gale Purdy, a 25-year-old military spouse, vanished after a night of clubbing in Waikiki on May 29, 1985. Her body was discovered the next day at Keahi Lagoon, showing signs of assault and strangulation. Regina Sakamoto, a 17-year-old student, was the second victim, found in a similar manner in January 1986. And Denise Hughes, a 21-year-old secretary and churchgoer, met a similar fate just a few weeks later. 25-year-old Louise Medeiros was the fourth victim. After a trip to Kauai, she disappeared upon returning to Oahu. Her body was found near Waikele Stream in April 1986. And the final known victim, 36-year-old Linda Percy, was expected to return from a work meeting but never did. Her car was found abandoned, and her body was discovered, revealing the same pattern of assault and strangulation as the other victims. These horrifying events led the Honolulu Police Department to establish a serial killer task force, working alongside the FBI and the Green River Task Force. The killer was believed to seize opportunities, targeting vulnerable people at bus stops. It was suggested that he might have lived or worked in the areas of the attacks, such as Waipahu or Sand Island. Despite intense efforts, including roadblocks and a $25,000 reward, the killer remained unidentified. A man named Howard Gay was arrested, questioned, and even picked out of a photo lineup by a witness who saw Linda with a man on the night of her murder. However, the case did not yield enough evidence to lead to a conviction. Howard, the primary suspect, passed away in 2003, leaving the identity of the Honolulu Strangler unresolved. The series of killings left a lasting impact on the community and highlighted the importance of thorough investigations and public collaboration in solving such heinous crimes. Before we continue, I want to give a shout out to one of our amazing viewers, SunCrazy64. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and join the Badger fam. Number 4. Eric Thompson. Eric Thompson from Hawaii was arrested on Valentine's Day in 2022 after being suspected of killing John Tokuhara, an acupuncturist who was having an affair with his wife Joyce. After being apprehended, Thompson was placed under house arrest in Honolulu. The shooting occurred after Thompson discovered the affair through Instagram messages and videos. Thompson's defense attorney, David Hayakawa, highlighted that Tokuhara had a history of infidelity, including with women who had families, and this suggested that other women who had been ghosted by Tokuhara could have had the same motive. Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Benjamin Rose stated that Thompson shot Tokuhara 4 times in the face. Surveillance footage depicted Thompson near Tokuhara's office wearing a hat and glasses, with DNA testing confirming the hat's connection to Thompson. During the trial, Tokuhara's 81-year-old mother tearfully recounted discovering her son's body in his office. Tokuhara was known for his love of fishing, surfing, coaching, and aiding veterans. He was remembered as a healer who contributed to his community and supported education through scholarships. Thompson's defense argued that police overlooked other potential suspects and mentioned that Tokuhara was a gambler with nearly $4,000 found near his body. Thompson also denied having any involvement in Tokuhara's death and claimed that he was not even in the area when the incident occurred. The trial, which began in July 2023, was expected to conclude by the end of the month. However, in early August, a jury declared a mistrial. A spokesperson for the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office told KITV that they can retry the case. But unfortunately, a mistrial means that justice is denied and delayed by a little bit. Number 3. Hawaiian officers paralyze teen. 4 Honolulu officers are facing felony charges related to a September 2021 police pursuit that resulted in a crash. The officers are accused of fleeing the scene and conspiring to cover up their actions. The incident occurred in Makaha and began with the officers responding to a noise complaint in Miley Beach Park. Officer Joshua Nahulu has been charged with collisions involving the death or serious bodily injury, as he allegedly caused the crash that left the driver of a Honda Civic with a traumatic brain injury. Officers Eric Smith, Jake Bartolome, and Robert G. Lewis III are also facing charges of hindering prosecution and conspiracy to commit hindering prosecution. The officers' charges are the result of an extensive investigation, according to the prosecution attorney Steve Elm. During their hearing, Acting Chief of the Honolulu Police Department, Keith Horikawa, stated that the internal administrative investigation was ongoing. The crash's aftermath resulted in injuries to multiple individuals. The incident prompted a civil suit against the city, claiming that Officer Nahulu had an ongoing dispute with the driver of the crashed vehicle. And some passengers who sustained injuries recently settled with the city for $4.5 million. Attorneys in the civil suit allege that the officers returned to the scene of the crash and warned witnesses to not cooperate with investigators. Dayton Galvier, a passenger in the crash, suffered paralysis and permanent injuries, with estimated healthcare costs of $7 million. The delayed charges against the officers have raised concerns, with critics stating that civilians involved in similar incidents would have been charged more promptly. The trial for all 4 suspects was scheduled for August 2023. All we can do is hope that justice will be served. Number 2. Sayu family robbery. On New Year's Eve in 2018, a well-known wealthy Mililani family experienced a terrifying home invasion in which they were robbed at gunpoint. Iwalani Sayu, a respected hula teacher in Oahu and in Japan, and her daughter Oriana Sayu, a former Miss Hawaii USA, were both victims of the robbery. 4 armed men wearing masks entered their home at around 6:30 p.m. on the day in question. Oriana was confronted by the assailants and was held at gunpoint, while her mother was also threatened with a gun. The robbers tied them up and demanded valuable family heirlooms, including black pearls, Hawaiian bracelets, diamonds, and more. The Sayu family lost almost $1 million worth of heirlooms, but they were more focused on raising community awareness about safety. The robbers fled the scene, leaving the woman tied up. Eventually, the victims managed to free themselves and alerted the police. The family described the ordeal to KHON2 News, highlighting the chilling threats and moments of relative kindness shown by one of the assailants, who continuously called her auntie during the robbery. The family's home phone was thrown over the backyard wall, and police investigated the incident along with potential links to other crimes in the area. Descriptions of the 4 suspects were released, along with details of the items recovered near the property wall where the suspects entered and exited. The Sayu family emphasized the importance of community vigilance and unity in combating crime. And while they hoped to recover their stolen heirlooms, their primary focus was on fostering a safer environment for everyone. The family also planned to enhance their security measures following the incident. It's unclear if any of the family's stolen items were ever recovered, and unfortunately, those responsible for the robbery were never caught. But still, the authorities remain hopeful that sooner or later, someone will come forward with information that will help with bringing the guilty party to justice. Number 1. Ikolu Keolanui. A 29-year-old man, Ikolu Keolanui, was indicted in December 2022 by a high-low grand jury in connection with the 2019 death of his 24-year-old girlfriend, Sable Kefa Young, in Panewa. Ikolu appeared in high-low circuit court via video conference from the Hawaii Community Correctional Center, where he was held on a $1 million bail after being charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors alleged that he strangled Kefa Young at Malama Park on July 19, 2019. Ikolu had a history of violence against the victim, having been charged in 2017 with counts of misdemeanor abuse, kidnapping, and assault against the young woman. He pleaded no contest to reduced charges as part of a plea agreement, receiving an 18-month prison sentence and probation. He was then released on probation in November of 2018. But in 2019, probation violations, including testing positive for alcohol, methamphetamine, and THC, led to a motion to revoke his probation. Ikolu continued testing positive for drugs, including meth and THC, shortly after Kefa Young's death. Then, in August 2020, Circuit Judge Henry Nakamoto re-sentenced Ikolu to concurrent sentences of 1 year in prison for misdemeanor abuse convictions, 5 years for felony abuse, and 10 years for kidnapping and second-degree assault. Ikolu has remained incarcerated since his resentencing. The indictment marks a step towards seeking justice for Kefa Young and her family. Have you heard of any other cases from Hawaii you would like us to cover in a future video? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger.